Hey everybody, and welcome to the Leap live stream. First of all, I want to say thank you so much to everybody that's been outpouring support over the past few months, especially as we started to kick off our social media, start to build stuff and everything. I gotta tell you, I have been really excited for this. First technical difficulty.
We've got the TV
David, mute your laptop.
output.
David, mute your laptop.
Sit tight, guys. We'll fix this.
We can't do it from here. Mute your laptop.
We've got the TV output.
Of all the things.
Is it done? Okay, guys.
Go. All right, we're back. Oh, we're not back.
I'm gonna unplug it,
That's
guys.
fine. You don't get to see the Leap logo behind us.
I'm almost done.
Oh dear. Okay. Well,
All right,
anyway,
we're back.
We're back. Welcome to the Leap live stream. Of course, we practiced this 3 times and have never had that problem.
Yeah,
so
that's
it's
the
first
first one.
time that we do it live where we have the problem. Anyway, this has been in the works for a long time. For me, about the past year. Tim, about the past, I don't know, 25 years of his life.
Yeah.
So we are just beyond excited for this. So what we're going to do tonight is introduce the company to you a little bit, tell you a little bit about where we came from, some of our philosophy about reptile keeping, and of course the thing that you're all here to see, which is the products themselves. So we do have a setup here. This is our planted with our lights, our fogger, and our mister, but you'll see a lot more of that coming up soon. So without further ado, I'm Jack. I am the brand manager here at Leap Habitats, and basically what my job has been for the past year that I've worked with Leap is to create a cohesive brand. You know, we wanted to make smarter, better habitats and everything that goes with it. And so I've been working alongside Tim, alongside our engineering department, basically everyone here at Ecotech Marine, which we'll talk about in a little bit, to make Leap a reality. But the real visionary, the real guy behind Leap, and he's one of my best friends, and I'm not just saying that for the live stream. I was friends with him well before we ever did anything with Leap, and it was his passion that sucked me into this, is Tim Marks, the founder of Leap Habitats. So Tim, tell us about your history in reptile keeping.
Okay, quite the introduction, Jack. Thank you very much. Well, I've been keeping reptiles for about 25 years now. Started as a kid. First reptile was a leopard gecko, like many of us, then got into panther chameleons. It was only during college that I really got out of it because I couldn't have a pet in my dorm room. There was actually one period where I did have frogs during school. Then that didn't work out too well. Then after school, I really got back into it. I had a few pets, a crested gecko, another panther chameleon, bearded dragon. Kids really love those animals to this day. But about 5 years ago, Madagascar opened up again, shipping a lot more animals than they had shipped, and so I had the opportunity to get into some of the chameleon species I've been really passionate about since I was a young, and particularly Parsons chameleons. And I got a Parsons chameleon, and then I got a Uroplatus fantasticus, and then some other geckos and some more chameleons. And long story short, I ended up with 50 different animals, and that was the beginning of what we now call the Leap Laboratory here at Ecotech Marine.
So how many do we have in the Leap Lab? Before we show you the whole video, how many do we have?
Probably current collection is pushing 150 to 200 animals right now.
Okay, so the idea for Leap came from smarter, better habitats. We said that, you've probably seen it in our social media and stuff like that. What did you see that you wanted to change and do your way, if you will, in the reptile industry?
Okay, well, I noticed that many of the products that were currently available in the reptile industry were not necessarily designed and engineered from the ground up for reptiles. They were adapted from other technologies, or they were adapted from the aquarium industry. And as a manufacturer in the aquarium industry, I felt that that was particularly odd and not like the ideal way of treating the industry in general. And so as a hobbyist myself, and now with a collection of reptiles within the building, I had the opportunity to start designing and building equipment for my own collection, and had the support, through the enterprise to, hey, look, if these are good ideas, then let's see what we can do of it. And since then, it's been 5 years. Literally 5 years of developing a product line, coming up with the branding, the philosophy behind the branding, and really getting to where we are right now at this live launch.
So you mentioned ecotech and the reef aquarium industry, and everything that you and we do with ecotech, we're trying to also bring over. But let's talk about ecotech a little bit. You founded it in college.
Yeah, I was 18 years old when I founded Ecotech with Justin Lawyer, my business partner, and now we have 2 other business partners and friends.
Very cool. And it was their, push behind Leap as well. So we are really excited about what we've achieved with Ecotech, and the reason we are excited about it is because we're going to bring a lot of the technology that we had with Ecotech down the road, and a lot of the engineering and a lot of the resources behind Ecotech
yes.
into making Leap the best it can be. So to that end, we recorded a video earlier, and, well, I did, and it is a walkthrough of Ecotech and now Leap headquarters, and it's going to show you a little bit of kind of what we're putting into everything.
Yeah, and I think, if I may, it's going to help you guys understand where it is we're headed, because you're going to get to see a slice of the tool set that we have available to us in the form of what we currently do and what we can do and what we want to do.
So with that being said, if David, you ready to go on the video? Okay, cool. We're going to roll that video, and then when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about our philosophy of reptile keeping and some of the things that we're going to be integrating into our actual product design. So without that, let's go to David with the video.
So we're starting the tour here in the engineering department at Ecotech and Leap, because engineering is kind of the core of everything we do. We don't just make a product or design a product and then ship it out. We really put the time and the effort into making sure it's a good product. And then here you can see some of the stuff that we do after a product's made. We don't just, like I said, ship a product out. We test the heck out of it to make sure that it's the best product that it can be. We run them, we torture test them, we run them continuously for the longest time, show you things that would never ever be done in real life. And that's all so that we can give you the absolute best things we can. And we're going to bring that with Leap as well, not just the Ecotech products like these Radions. So starting here in engineering behind me, like I said, here's a test rig. You also have some of our 3D printers. And then over behind me is where all of our engineers actually work. Now you'll notice a lot of electronics type stuff, and that's because a lot of the products we make are electronics products. We make them, we design them, we do all of the work to make those products right here in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. So as we walk through engineering, you'll see, like I said, a lot of electronics products. Here's Mark, one of our electronic engineers. Everybody else is out of the office. This is not a normal work time for us. You'll hear me say that a couple more times, more than likely, as we go through. But this is the whole engineering department. We're pretty proud of everything we've done in engineering. So let's go downstairs real quick, and we'll go down to our SMT room. So behind me is our SMT room, and SMT stands for Surface Mount Technology, and it's pretty much the cornerstone of what has given Ecotech a huge success, and hopefully we get to use it in some Leap products in the near future. So in walking through here, what it basically is we design and build our own circuit boards for our electronics products. So these big reels you see here are all of the components that go on a circuit board, and they come in these big reels, and then they come to these machines, they get loaded into the machine. And these machines move so fast, they actually use like the same technology that's in a maglev train. That's how quick they move. And they just place all the little components on the circuit boards. So we have a few of these machines. We're actually getting some new ones. And that's how we really have made huge advances in terms of the technology that we put into our products. And again, we really hope we get to use this with Leap sometime in the future. So you can see kind of more of these machines. It's all the same stuff through here. And then if we come over here, we actually have some of our circuit boards that we've made. So we don't just send this stuff out, we don't just design it and then have somebody else make it for us. It's actually made right here, and these are the finished circuit boards. And this is one of the coolest things. Like when I first started working here, I just really loved coming in this room, seeing all the machines work. I know everything's off for right now. Like I said, we're filming this after hours so that we could have a little bit more free access so people aren't working. But this is some of the coolest stuff that I think that we have in terms of the technology that goes into our products. And like I said, we aren't using this stuff exactly yet in our Leap stuff, but it hopefully, if you stay tuned, it will come in the future. So out these doors is our manufacturing facility. So we do a lot more than just make circuit boards here. This is all of our inventory for stuff for the SMT room. And then as we move this way, you can see it's a pretty big warehouse full of stuff. And all of these lines right here are where we make all of our Ecotech products. And soon, probably some of our Leap products too. Again, it's after hours. I know I've said it now twice. Let's say it again. This is usually a buzz with activity, and it's a little bit hard to film, so that's why we're doing it this way. But this is where we actually assemble all of our Ecotech marine products. It's a big operation. You know, we have video instructions for some of the stages of the assembly. You can see the parts that come in here. And we're really proud that we've always manufactured in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. And that's going to be a key to LEAP success in the future as well. So as we move this way, we're going to go into the place where I got my start at LEAP and at Ecotech, obviously. And it's our prototype machine shop. And it's a really cool place. Now, you're going to have to excuse the mess. Tim and myself are kind of the creative types sometime. So we get a little into something. I'm sure some of you that do projects do the same thing. But one of our projects that we're working on right now is actually our first robot that we're going to be using for Ecotech. You can see some of the LEAP gear. That's actually part of my desk there. Again, don't mind the mess. And as we come into the machine shop, we can basically make anything here. So this isn't for like production runs of stuff. This is more for like the one-off. Like, hey, I need to make a part to try this new thing. Hey, I need to design a corner. Like when we were building our habitats the first time, this is where we made all that stuff. This is where we designed it. You know, it helped with engineering from upstairs, and then we came down here and actually made everything for the first time. Here's some LEAP prototype cages that we got in. Habitats, not cages. Here's some LEAP habitats that we got in. And I think it's down here. Yep, we can look at it on the way out. We got our laser cutter here, so we can laser cut things out of almost any material, which is very useful. You get really perfect cuts. And then up there, I'm not going to let David look at it too long. That's going to be the future. Right there on the shelf there, David, is the future. So it's going to be our double size habitats. Basically, instead of just a single, it'll be a double. And that's where I know a lot of you have been asking the questions about the larger habitats. That's where you're going to see it. So we're going to come out of the machine shop and over to now my left. That's actually all of our shipping and receiving. So if you order stuff from us, you get to see where it came from. And then we'll continue on. Now, I can't spoil all the fun on this because Tim's going to show you later, but come on upstairs. And over here is our reptile room. So we'll just do a quick peek in. Like I said, you will see plenty more of this later on. There you go. There's a nice peek in the reptile room. And then we'll head back downstairs. So just like our reptile room is for reptiles, it's how we make better products. It's so we can do our research and development. We can learn about the animals. We can create a better habitat here. We can't just tell you how to make a better habitat. We have to learn ourselves. And before that, we had our fish room. So for all of our Ecotech products, same thing as our reptile room, but for saltwater fish. So these are not only just beautiful tanks that have awesome animals in them, they are also kind of the test tanks. It's where we get to test out a lot of our new equipment as we build it, as we design it. All right, finally we'll run back upstairs. And we'll enter into our customer service department. So just like with manufacturing, we're super proud to have our customer service here in Bethlehem. So if you call us, if you email us, you're gonna talk to the people that sit in these desks right here. It's something we've always been proud of. We like to do as much here locally as we can. We don't wanna outsource it, and we wanna obviously give you the best experience you possibly can. So we'll come down this hall here, and the last thing we'll do is we'll show you the studio where you'll see plenty of our videos being made. And finally, the LEAP Studio, and Ecotech Studio too. So this is where, now you're getting a little preview of some stuff that you're gonna see later on in the live stream. This is where we kind of make the movies, except they're not movies and they're YouTube clips, and we are not nearly as good as Hollywood is. But anyway, this is where we kind of shoot our videos and then produce the content and send it out to you. So I hope you like that little walkthrough. If you have any questions about it, obviously ask us in the live stream. We'll talk to you soon.
Hey guys, welcome back to the studio. I really hope you enjoyed that walkthrough. It shows a little bit of everything that Tim and his company's been working on and some of the cool stuff that's going to go into Leap as well. And obviously the quick shot of the Reptile Room, which I think Tim's going to show us more of later.
Yep.
But for now, what we want to talk about is kind of the philosophy that went into making these products and everything about how we think about reptiles.
Yes.
So there's so much information out there, right? Like, you want to go learn how to do reptiles, you go to a reptile show, you talk to a breeder, you may get on Facebook, you may get on Instagram to find out how to take care of reptiles. But we kind of noticed that people aren't really speaking the same language, per se.
Yep.
So we came up with this idea called the 5 parameters. And basically, it's the 5 things that we feel, and if you want to add ideas to them, please tell us. But they're the 5 things that we feel that if we nail with reptiles and our reptile keeping, we will be more successful. And we can talk about it in the same terminology in the future. So let's talk about the 5 parameters. The 5 parameters are daylight, UV, heat, rainfall, and humidity. Those are our 5 parameters. And we're going to go into a little detail on all of them so that you have an idea when we show you the products of how we came to those.
Yep.
So what's the first one, Tim?
Okay, so the first one, as we said, is daylight, and it's quality of daylight as well as photo period. So currently we think of daylight in the sense of a daylight emitting T5 lamp or an LED light. And that's the same way we want to think about it. For Leap habitats, we are only launching a daylight product with LED because we feel that LED is the future, LED is the right technology, and that's the right way to deliver a product for that particular parameter. So what we want to think of is the quality of daylight. And we measure that using a term called PAR, photosynthetically available radiation. And that basically means how much light are you emitting that your plants can actually use for photosynthesis. That's important. In addition to the quality of daylight, we're going to talk a lot about the photo period of daylight. So if you haven't heard this term before, basically it means how long are your lights on and how long are your lights off. And depending on where your organism lives in terms of its latitude away from the equator, during the winter, the days will get shorter and the nights will get longer. And then during the summer, the opposite happens. Now, if the animal lives at the equator, basically they don't get a lot of shift at all. They do get some. But being able to reproduce and simulate that process is really what parameter number 1, daylight, is all about.
Now let's talk about the second one, which also comes from the sun and is just as important in terms of keeping your reptiles and amphibians healthy and everything else, especially for certain things like MBD for our reptiles, and it's...
Number 2, UV. So UV is very, very important. We all know about it, we all talk about it, and it varies based on what species you're actually keeping. So some organisms may be out in the desert and they bask all day long, and they're evolved to be able to withstand and require a lot of UV. They would be like a Ferguson Zone 4 organism. Another organism might be a cave dweller, and it hides all day long, and when it does come out, it only comes out at night, and it experiences no UV at all. A good example of a common animal that would be somewhere in the middle might be a Uroplatus gecko, which even though they're a nocturnal gecko, they actually are sleeping in the trees on the foliage during the day. And so as a result of that, they are exposed to UV light, and we need to provide that for them when we design their habitats. Now, UV light will follow the same photo period as daylight because UV light is coming directly from the sun.
Now, the third one that also comes directly from the sun, but doesn't really follow the same cycle as your daylight and your UV, is our third parameter, which is?
Heat. So parameter number 3, heat. Let's take, for example, the summer solstice. The summer solstice is the longest day of the year. What is it?
June 21st.
Thank you, sir. June 21st. However, the hottest day of the year is typically in the middle of August. And why is that? It's because it takes that amount of time for the Earth itself as a giant, massive piece of mass to absorb that heat and then ultimately create the hottest day. So for that reason, the heat cycle is offset from the photo period. And if we're talking about the heat required for each organism, it's going to vary based on, the schedule will vary based on its latitude, but the magnitude of how much heat you provide will vary based on its habitat and its niche.
So the next two traditionally have been kind of clumped together,
Yes.
right? So traditionally we did the next two parameters as one thing. We thought that it's more important to split them up because in nature, they are split up. So what's number 4 and how does it relate to number 5?
Okay, number 4 is rainfall. In captivity, we provide rainfall through a misting system. In the past, we would mist so often that because we were trying to create a humid environment as a result of a misting system or using a misting system too. And so what would happen is we risked oversaturating our captive environments with water. So now we feel that with the popularity of fogger units, and we'll talk about that in a second, rainfall should be separated from the 5th parameter, which is humidity. So in rainfall, we are trying to provide water for the organism to drink, as well as for the plants to drink.
And that you just said is number 5, which is humidity. And how are they not connected?
So yeah, exactly. They are not connected. So the rainfall in an animal's environment will vary depending on the seasons, depending on the time of day, etc. And in captive environments, we basically want to provide enough rainfall that the organism has enough water to drink, the plants have enough water to grow, but we don't oversaturate the environment. However, the specific humidity environment that the organism needs is independent of its rainfall often. So even during the dry season, in Madagascar, for example, the daytime humidity levels and the nighttime humidity levels may be extremely high. It just isn't raining. So we need to separate that parameter from rainfall, and that's what we are doing with parameter number 5.
And like we said at kind of the beginning of the 5 parameters, I know we just got a little bit technical there, but the reason that we're so focused on these 5 parameters is so that we can make products that take care of all of them. People that have dogs and cats, you know, you ask somebody how to take care of a dog, and it basically boils down to food, water, love, and walks.
Yeah.
Congratulations, dog.
Healthy animal.
But with reptiles, you know, that just took 6 minutes to explain the basic care, and what we are trying to do is simplify it. Now, it may never be as easy as having a dog, but we'd love to make it so that we have a common language that we can take care of our animals with, and so that we can get more people interested in reptiles and amphibians and give them better care.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot easier if you go to your breeder and you understand the premise of these are the 5 parameters of captive husbandry that I really need to think about when setting up the terrarium.
Absolutely.
And if you just break it down and figure out how you're going to provide parameter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and whether or not, you know, perhaps for some organisms you don't need a humidifier. And you figure that out, and that's the approach you take.
So I know that Tim has been wanting to show this off for a very long time.
Yes.
So he's going to go down to the reptile room in just a second, but I would also like to say that we have a video of a full walkthrough of that reptile room that is going to be live on YouTube at 7:30 tonight, so actually in 6 minutes. And you can watch the full video of the walk through the reptile room and a previous video where we actually built it.
Yes, I need to get down there, though. I will meet you guys again in the reptile room. I think Jack's got some more to say.
I do.
So
I
thank
have
you.
the very exciting thing, which is our 500 follower giveaway. Some of you have been asking about it. And we put all of the names of people that qualified into a hat. We pulled them out here. Now, I don't know exactly what we're going to give you. Definitely some Leap swag, maybe some hats, t-shirts, something like that. We'll get in contact with you. And then the thing that I would like to give away, if I can convince the people in the money department, is to give away something a little bit more than just a t-shirt and a hat. So we will get in touch with you. We'll figure out what it's going to be. But I'm going to read off those names real quick. So the first one is Marshmallow and Company on Instagram. These are all from Instagram, by the way. We have Green Bean Exotics, Van Hollow Reptiles, Hunter Hauk, AKR Exotics, and we're feeling generous, so I'm just going to throw Josh Sato in there too, because why not throw an extra? Everybody likes a bonus. So all of you who messaged me and who had joined that, I will be reaching out to you personally on our Instagram, probably through the Leap Habitats Instagram. We'll get your contact info and all that stuff. We are really excited to show the reptile room. I think we're getting close. David has Tim on a live feed as he runs down there. You ready to go, David? David's ready to go. Let's go to Tim in the reptile room. See you in a minute.
Hey guys, welcome to the Leap Reptile Room. This has been a project for a long time. This is actually Leap Reptile Room Revision 2. And in this room, we pretty much focus on two particular species, the carpet chameleon, first fur lateralis, and fantasticus geckos, satanic leaf-tailed geckos, Uroplatus fantasticus. So real quick, I'm just gonna show you the animals because I wanna have time to show you the leap habitat specifically, as well as our lighting and some of the features associated with using them in a baker's rack system like we use here. Sorry, I'm a little out of breath. I just ran from upstairs. Here we've got our male carpet chameleons. We keep them currently in the more non-bioactive setup, but that's all transitioning within the next few weeks. Here we've got our female carpet chameleons. You can see a beautiful female right there showing her beautiful typical carpet chameleon colors. These are baby racks. Right now they are full of our third or fourth generation captive bred baby carpet chameleons. Every single one of these cages has a baby. We produce a lot of them here. They're my personal favorite species. I really enjoy them. Kevin Stanford and Frank Payne are the ones who got me into them, and I was hooked. Over here, some supplies and storage. Those buckets are for carpet chameleon digging for the females. And we've got little 3D printed holders for water drippers. We have a lot of technology at this facility, and so when we need a solution, we can 3D print it or machine it. We do. If that turns into a product that we want to sell, we will. Here we've got dart frogs. These are Pipetobates tricolors. You can see them here. This colony we've actually had for close to 15 years or so, certainly longer than 10. And it all started with the same probably 20 individuals, and they've just been reproducing constantly ever since. Up there we've got a, I guess you could consider them vintage at this point, but it's a biopod that we really have enjoyed, and it was planted by Polydema of Vivariums in the Mist. Beautiful, beautiful terrarium. Couldn't ask for anything more stunning. Here we've got a couple of leap habitats. This is what you are here to see. This one is still unplanted. This one is fully planted, and we're just holding it here because we're redoing this whole baker's rack as we speak to fit another 12 leap habitat. The size will be 15 inches wide by 18 inches tall to house pairs of Uroplatus fantasticus. So that's gonna go right here. You'll see all this. What these are is the whole room is wired through a controller to control your daylight, UV, and misting schedule at programmed increments that we program on our actual control unit, which is a whole video in and of itself, and kind of goes back to our 5-parameter philosophy of controlling the photo period and the quality of daylight, the length and the intensity of UV. The humidity is controlled by the room, the temperature is controlled by the room, and the HVAC unit, which is also controlled by our controller, and then the rainfall itself, the 5th parameter. Over here, we have a full baker's rack of leap habitats. And you can see it is lightweight. All right, on each shelf, you've got a shelf tray. This is like a catch pan, custom made. This is ours. It nests perfectly into a baker's rack and will hold 3 15-inch cages or 2 22-inch cages. Our habitats, as you know, as you will know soon, come in multiple different heights and 2 different widths. The first width is 15, the second width is 22. They come 18 inches over there, 24 inches, and then we have a 36-inch version for launch out of the 22-inch wide series. This is 22 by 24. This is 15 by 24. All of our habitats feature a clear front door and a screen lower door. What you'll see, in addition, if you come over here, is the included habitat liner. This plastic liner allows the habitat to hold water and support a bioactive setup. In the bottom of this habitat is our LECA drainage layer with a screen above and our living earth substrate above that. And then, of course, we've got our leaves and sticks and stuff to provide further nutrients for our bioactive critters. And speaking of bioactive critters, I'll have you look just real quick over here at a, you guys recognize this kind of thing, but it's a typical isopod culture. And in this culture, we have dwarf whites and blues. And so this is one of our cultures that we use to seed all of our habitats with bioactive critters. The dwarf whites and the blues are really good isopods for general purpose. Above our habitats, you'll notice that we have misting systems that are actually plumbed into the habitat itself through knockouts in the corners. So this one's closed, but it can be easily knocked out and a misting system installed, plumbed. And then above our habitats, you've got the lighting itself with the clip system accessory mounted to the baker's rack that allows you to mount the lighting above the terrarium. The LED and the T5 both have the same housing, and they both clip into the same clips. They look identical. And then later we're introducing our heating lamp, which will also feature the same housing and clip into a light directly above, or you could lay it on the screen. Let me think what else you would want to see on that. Obviously, ask any questions that you guys have, and we'll answer them when we get up to the studio. That's a big one. So please start entering them, or whatever you want to ask. I want to be able to answer it all. Some more leap habitats. These enclosures here are for individual Fantasticus juveniles, and we're transitioning to another leap product, which is for raising smaller geckos and baby chameleons in a baker's rack, made from a more conventional PVC and acrylic fabrication, full front door, drainage, access for a misting system on top. So those will fill up all of this rack, and then this baker's rack will be another example of more leap habitats. Actually, we're going to be outfitting that tomorrow with leap habitats. So I got to make my way up to the studio, and I got to run. So thank you guys very much. Please remember, ask any questions that you have. We're going to answer them all. About the LEAP laboratory, about the LEAP habitats, we'll show you upstairs the LEAP misting system and the LEAP fogger. This room is humidified by a whole room unit, which is great for reptile rooms, but for our reptile pets in our homes, we all use foggers, we all use misting systems. So you're gonna wanna know about that. Gosh, I could go on and on, but let's call it a day, and I'm gonna head out and run back to the studio. See you guys.
Hey guys, welcome back. So while Tim makes his way up, I just want to say that as of 4 minutes ago, our YouTube content went live as well. So when you are done watching this, if you haven't had enough of Tim and myself, or if you get bored in the next few days, we have like 3 hours almost of YouTube content that's going to be launched, and it's going to be a bunch of cool stuff. It's going to be some stuff where it's a little bit more learning, more produced videos, and then also some long form stuff where Tim talks to some experts in the reptile world. And we plan on having YouTube content launch regularly. Ideally, we'd love to have like one a week. So if you stay tuned to the LEAP YouTube, you'll be able to see lots more stuff coming up as we go. If you have ideas for videos or stuff you want to see, tell us, because we love listening to your ideas. We couldn't do this without you guys, so we're absolutely going to take that into effect. Now, I'm over here, and you can't see what's over here yet, I don't think, David. And we are beyond excited. So when Tim gets here, which I think he just made a world record sprint from the reptile.
Sorry, guys. Okay.
That's the fastest I've ever seen you move.
I don't do it much.
We're going to go to the full description of all of our products. We're going to show you some cool features and benefits of them, and we're going to go into that. So without further ado.
Question and answers, too.
Oh, yeah, and question and answers. So we have questions rolling in. Let's actually just answer a couple of them right now so we get those out of the way. And then when we get done showing this stuff, we'll answer even more. So the first one, Shades 1535. Are you guys mainly focused on smaller reptiles or snakes too? We always recommend to size your habitat appropriately for the animal that you keep. I don't see why for some of our larger ones you couldn't put snakes in, but as of right now, we're not saying one way or the other, but we always recommend an appropriate size. And appropriate usually means the biggest you can fit.
That's right. Yeah, that's the key word right there. The largest enclosure you can get. So there are some small snakes. I could consider some green snakes in here, or here, but I certainly wouldn't look at either of these enclosures as appropriate for a python. But we will be coming out with other enclosures. I'm not going to talk about I'm not going to talk about it right now. So also understand one thing. I am not personally a snake expert, so I'm not the best person to really comment on which snakes for which enclosures right now. But as always, the largest enclosure that you can provide for any of your animals is the ideal way to go.
Amy Peralta wants to know, how does substrate affect humidity, going back to the 5 parameters?
Yep, substrate retains humidity. So substrate is a tool in the process of ensuring the ideal humidity for your environment. Going back to parameter number 4, rainfall, you're going to want to provide sufficient rainfall to maintain the appropriate moisture level of your substrate, but not so much that too much water drains through your substrate into the drainage layer. The drainage layer is below, and that kind of acts like a shock, so to speak, a shock absorber of if you're misting too much, you might see water in the bottom, you might want to adjust your misting cycle.
One more question here before we get into this. Jimmy asked, Tim, are the misters, nozzles, and industry standard? We'll answer that here in a second. Sharbuckles Reef asked, do you guys plan on building more modern stance match, like similar to a water box aquarium? It's definitely something we'll consider in the future to make a beautiful habitat for your home. We're always taking ideas into account, and as the brand kind of gets up and rolling and we get past our initial launch products, there's going to be a lot more.
And we can explain to you guys a little bit better over time how these products, the launch products, are positioned in terms of the market in general versus perhaps other products that we may sell in the future.
So we'll talk about that after we show you the stuff. So let's start with our showrunner, if you will. This is the 5 years of work. This is the love and care and everything. And this is a decent sized terrarium, and it's pretty not heavy. In fact, it's incredibly lightweight. Something that we've been doing around the office here that people love to see. And we were at the Hamburg Reptile Show recently in Hamburg, Pennsylvania, and the question came up, how durable are they? Whoops, I dropped a habitat.
Yeah, it's completely fine.
So these things are great for not only their lightweight ability, so you can do your maintenance on it and everything else, but they're durable. We're not trying to build a product that's going to fall apart on you right away.
That's right.
And doesn't cost you an arm and a leg for that benefit. Yeah. So show us some more of the benefits, Tim, that you really designed into this.
Please, yeah, I would love to. So understand that this habitat was designed from the ground up. It was designed, it was basically envisioned by myself to be a, number one, first and foremost, I wanted it to be lightweight and flat packable, and to offer what is now considered like a hybrid glass versus screen approach to keeping our animals. So what that means is that if I flip it over, we can see that we have a completely aluminum window screen top, which means it's totally rust free. You don't have to worry about that whatsoever. I'll add, we have stainless steel fasteners as well. In addition to that, we have a completely transparent front primary door. I open the ergonomic and easy to use latches, open the door, and you can see completely through it. And on top of that, you'll see that we have a, the full width of the enclosure accessible to access. So it's very easy to plant, it's very easy to clean, it's just a really useful enclosure design. And then on the bottom, a full screen panel which facilitates the chimney effect, convectively allowing your airflow through the terrarium. And you'll see here what we call our internal liner, and this is what allows for the terrariums to be used as a bioactive solution while still facilitating ventilation.
And it ships to you like this.
Yep, flat pack. So the liner ships flat, and you fold it together origami style, put it in the enclosure, and then it gets riveted. And there's a dual-sided adhesive foam strip that goes all around, and that creates water resistance around it. But within the actual catch pan itself, thanks, Jack. Because it is origami, you could actually fill this entirely up with water to the vent holes, and it will hold. It is strong enough to hold. The water cannot get out. Again, the corners are folded in. Now, does that mean that we're going to be setting up paludariums with this? Well, I mean, maybe. We're not currently doing that, but we'll see what the future, if people want to try.
So I personally really love dart frogs, and I want to really put one of these in my house once we have the 36 size, and I think we're going to ship it off to our friend Polydema of Vivariums in the Mist, and I'm going to have him build me a paludarium, and that'll be our first test of the paludarium. I don't see why it wouldn't work, and we're really excited to see that happen.
Let's talk about the sizes.
I do want to ask one question that came up. Because you mentioned the screen bottom. So Pedro Valentin asked, what's the purpose of the screen ventilation on the bottom? Is it going to affect the humidity in the terrarium?
Okay, great question. So the answer is yes, it will affect the humidity, but it's in a way that we can control. The purpose of it is to allow for ventilation through and up and out of the terrarium, which is very important to many, many reptiles especially. In the frog world, it's less important, and so what we have is a solution in the frog world, which we'll touch on probably right after this, where we have a solid door for the bottom. You could also say you need more ventilation. You could also potentially cut out these vent slats. I mean, these cages are modifiable. You can do what you want with them.
So let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Let's say something breaks, right? Tim showed you in the reptile room some of our older frog terrariums that have years and years of plant growth, of animals, life cycles.
10 years in the tricolor
10 years. And if you break a door or you somehow are moving it and break something, that's 10 years down the drain.
Yeah, it's done. There's no repairing a conventional glass aquarium.
And a common one is breaking a door. Your hinges can break, or you accidentally slam the glass into something or something. How do you do that? Can you replace doors?
Yeah, so one thing that we are really proud of is the fact that this is like a modular system. So you can replace components, you can modify components, and the components will all be available to purchase through our website. So they're not currently on the website. Individual components aren't currently on the website right now, but what you will see soon is what we call a door kit. Now I'm going to explain why. We've got a clear plastic upper door. We've got a fully ventilated screen lower door. Well, in the frog world, I actually want to have plastic, maybe just small ventilation, and then I'll probably put a plastic liner up top too.
Which answers Michael's Palau's question. Variety on tops. We're going to make a cover for this.
A cover. It'll be a thin plastic cover that's die cut. It fits perfectly, and you lay it over the screen.
To increase the humidity for frog guys that hopefully I will be
It's a lot more economical than selling a whole new lid.
But so how do we
so let me show you. Just with a small tool, I'm just using an Allen key here. There's a hole on the bottom, and I can easily poke. This is a part we refer to as the hinge pin. So I can easily poke, remove the hinge pin, and then open the latches, and I've got my screen door, and then, now I've got my plastic door. What does that mean? Well, say you want to have an all-screen front enclosure. You buy the kit. The kit will include a screen main door and a plastic lower door. So now you have all the permutations possible. You can have all screen on the front. You can have all plastic on the front, or you can have plastic bottom, screen top. Whatever it is that you are interested in. And the process of reinstalling them is really just as easy as the process of removing them. You put it back in, and then take my hinge pin.
Slide the hinge pin.
Yep, that's it. All right.
And in
that's literally
that
it.
was
We're
live
done.
on camera. You just saw it happen. In a matter of a couple minutes, you can replace, and that's going to go for everything. If you accidentally damage your screen top, you can replace it. You're not out a whole terrarium and a whole terrarium worth of growth just because something happens.
Yeah, and with respect to the screen top, there's a perfect opportunity to talk about another feature of the terrarium. So for years and years and years, we have been dealing with the fact that the tops of our terrariums require that you modify the screen in order to install a misting system. That's not acceptable. It's been way too long. So this terrarium features knockouts, pre-molded knockouts, that all you gotta do is take like the back of a screwdriver, give it a knock, and there's a hole. Now what does that knockout allow you to do? Well, I'll show you on this terrarium below.
And back to the misting nozzle question. Yes, we have these, and yes, they're standard size.
Yeah, so we have This is the misting nozzle that comes with our misting system. Now,
Which we'll show you in a second.
Yeah, we'll show you. It comes with 2 of these. And Jack, can I get the nut? So basically, once you've removed the knockout, which has already been done on this enclosure, you just pop it in and quickly tighten it down, and boom, there's our misting system installed.
No more cutting holes in the top of your screen. It just goes together.
Say you don't want to use the nozzle there anymore, you can remove it, and we will provide, we will sell you plugs. And then there's 2. Every enclosure has one on the left, one on the right. At this time, there's 2. You can use both, you can use one, you can use either, whatever you want.
So let's talk about the misting system, since that transfers into it. So
yeah.
This is our programmable starter misting system. And we wanted to include everything so you could get 2 habitats up and running at any given time. And we thought that was important because, number one, we know that basically after you own your first reptile or amphibian, your collection tends to grow.
Yes.
And then turn into a reptile room
so.
like Tim.
Yeah.
And then the other thing too is we wanted to make sure that you could, if you know, for the people that want way higher humidity, for the people that want a lot more misting, because it can take the water in it, we wanted to make sure you could put 2 in there if you wanted to fill up both of those. So everything that comes in here, obviously you have your power cord, which is a power cord. It includes the tubing. So the cool thing about the tubing is all of our stuff is push to connect, not just our nozzles, but the top 2. All you have to do, slide it in there, and that's it. To remove, push down on the blue, pull it out. So we wanted everything to be easy so that you can clean, so that you can do your maintenance and everything else. Now, the feature that we really like on this is our timing. And we know that setting up a misting schedule so that it's automatic is the whole reason you're buying a mister in the first place. You can change how long it goes between misting, how long the misting goes for, and how much mist it actually puts out, from just a drip, which is great for those of you that want to do, you know, your drip watering of your plants, to a full-on spray for those of you who have like really, really tropical plants. Not only that, like Tim showed you, it comes with the bulkheads, it comes with the nozzles, 2 of them. Comes with the tees, it comes with the stoppers, so that you can kind of customize those 2 setups however you want. And then last but not least, we know that keeping your stuff running is important, so we include a filter to keep out contaminants from your actual pump itself. So we put a lot of thought into that in terms of the things that we wanted to offer, and it's a great setup for those of you that have 2 terrariums and want to set up 2 different terrariums.
Tees are included as well.
Yeah, the tees with the stoppers are included as well. The other thing, since we're on it, let's talk about our
parameter number 5.
Our parameter number 5,
humidity.
Our humidity fogger. It also has the same features in terms of timing that this does. You can set how long between fogging intervals, how long the interval actually lasts, and then of course how much fog it actually puts out. Again, we wanted to make sure that you'd be set up for 2 full systems. So when you take the top off, now for both of these, you saw the hole in that one, you can actually fill them just from the top. Quick top off, just pour some water in the top. Let's say you want to quickly fill it or clean it out. Comes right off, you can take that over to the sink and fill it. It has a stopper on the bottom so you don't lose a bunch of water when you disconnect it from the base. And then obviously the base itself you can clean out. Now, like I said, we wanted to make sure that there was set up for 2. So it includes 2 hoses. And it includes a splitter. So all you have to do, sit this on the top here, hook up your 2 hoses. That with that provides all of parameter 4 and 5 that you're going to need for 2 whole terrariums. So we put a lot of thought into both of those, and some of the little extra features like the splitter, we're pretty happy with that. Now,
got another one going back to the habitats.
Oh, yep.
So we had brought up the water. We're gonna go back to habitats. So we had brought up the fact that the liner holds water. I'd also brought up that the seam around the liner is water resistant. So it actually holds most of the water, but it is possible for some small amounts of water to leak out. What our solution is we have custom exterior catch pans that are designed, one for the 15-inch series and a separate one for the 22-inch series, and yet a third one that is designed to nest perfectly onto a 48-inch baker's rack.
Yep.
And why? Well, because the dimensions of these terrariums are designed so that you have the full 17-inch front to back depth so that it goes entirely inside, fills up the whole depth of your baker's rack. And if you go with a 15-inch series, you can fit 3 horizontally on a rack. 22-inch series, you can fit 2. So if you're using a baker's rack, you would buy the 48-inch catch pans. And if you're just having one terrarium on a piece of furniture at your home, then you would just go with the individual exterior catch pans.
So a big question here is sizes. So I've seen a couple of people ask about sizes. Let's talk about, are we going to do larger sizes? Let's get that out of the way now before we go into the rest of the product.
Let's talk about the sizes we're launching with. So
Sure.
you might have already seen on the website, which is live, we've said it before, but we're going to launch with, this would be our smallest size. It's 15 inches wide, it's 18 inches tall. It's appropriate for geckos, perhaps young chameleons, baby chameleons. Then we go up to the 22, well, let me stop there. So in addition to 15 by 18, we will also offer a 15 by 24 inch terrarium. Now let's switch to the 22-inch series. We are also going to launch with an 18-inch tall 22-inch. In addition to the 18, we'll have a 24, and then we will go up to a 36. So that makes the 5 different sizes, which are our launch products. Relating to those sizes, we're not limited to just those sizes in the future. Those are simply the sizes we picked to launch with. We can vary, this cage design, this habitat design is so simple for us to modify and stock any sizes that we consider appropriate. So if there are popular sizes that we have just completely missed, please communicate with us.
And the
because it's
larger
something
ones
we can
know are popular.
We know the larger ones
are.
are.
Working them right now.
Yeah, so for the larger, so we already have our larger sizes designed. They're just not a launch product. And what they are is, instead of being a single door habitat, they are a dual door. So instead of 15 inches, it's 30 inches, which means you can fit one 30-inch terrarium on a baker's rack plus one 15-inch terrarium. The 22-inch are now a 44-inch, which means it takes up the entire width of the baker's rack. So, and as well as different heights. So the largest terrarium that we know we're going to have in the
very near
double
future.
door in the near future. So with around first half of 2022. Will be a 44 by 17 inch depth by up to 42 inches, maybe more in height, which is a pretty enormous size habitat, which is great for all kinds of different things.
And it ships flat pack just like everything else.
Right from our website.
And I guarantee you the cost will be competitive to anything.
Yeah, well, think about the amount.
I mean, think about how much a glass terrarium of that size.
Yeah, there's a reason why you don't see them the big, large glass habitats very often, because it's very expensive to ship and they're likely to break.
Yep.
So that's why a lot of people do custom. Now, beyond that, if you want truly, truly custom, I'm going to throw a plug right now to a friend of ours, a dear friend of ours, Dale Tamura of Tamura Design. So you may have seen down in the Reptile Room some expanded PVC foam baby cages that I mentioned, and those were designed and built. They were built by Dale Tamura. So Dale can do anything. He can make anything, and he's going to be launching when we launch our products and they're actually available. We want to make sure that Dale has them as well. And so our lighting products, which we haven't talked about, and I look forward to talking about it shortly.
Why don't you start talking about it?
Yeah, Dale will have the lighting products for installation and trims. Okay.
So lighting,
obviously
super important. I mean, there's a whole Facebook group dedicated to lighting, by the way.
Which we love.
Which not only do we love, they have been completely invaluable in helping design this. So shout out to Francis Baines and everyone over at the Reptile Lighting Facebook group. Seriously, thank you so much. But talk about the lighting.
Okay, so as we mentioned during our explanation of the 5 parameters, we're going to be launching with LED for daylight and T5 for UV. The T5 bulbs, we will be offering T5 bulbs. They are German-made, high-quality T5 lamps of the same quality of what you would expect a premium brand like us to launch with. And we will launch with 12, 36, and 48-inch sizes. Why no 24? Simply because we didn't launch with 24. We will, don't worry. It's just not available at launch. Here's an example of a 48-inch.
So 12, 36, 48.
Yep. The 12-inch size is particularly useful for single terrarium habitats. So you can see it fits right over.
Sits right on top.
All of our lighting products are capable of being daisy chained from one to another. Yep. They also feature a right angle power plug, so that when it's on the enclosure, you don't actually have to look at the cable coming off the side, which we thought was a nice benefit. And in addition to that, they are with our proprietary custom aluminum extrusion designed by myself, which means they're very rugged. You don't have to worry about the reflector popping off of this thing or parts falling out.
I mean when you look at this compared to anything else, I'm squeezing it, pretty much with all I've got, and
You'll
it's not
like
moving.
them. You'll like them when you get to hold one in your hand. And this is a feature that I'm really proud of. So all of us are pretty much laying our lighting on top of our habitats, even on a baker's rack. And the problem with that is that now that you have a lightweight habitat, you can actually remove it from your baker's rack to access and clean
or even if it's just sitting in your living room. You can actually just move it to clean it now.
Right. So that's a huge feature enabled by our patented habitat design. But what I wanted to do to make sure that you really get the full value of that is for the lighting, we have a clip system that allows you to mount the lighting into a baker's rack very easily. I'm only showing you one clip. You'd have another. They come two to a pack. They also include a washer, which is how you mount it. So the washer would be installed above the baker's rack, and the clip below, boom, boom, you have a little screw, stainless steel of course, that goes through and allows you to clamp it together. And then once the clips are installed in the baker's racks, you can take the light and pop it in. You can take the light and pop it out. It's really simple and really nice.
Just the racks. You know, if you want to put the light somewhere, you just use the clips rather than making some elaborate mounting system.
Yeah, maybe you made your own plywood enclosure and you want to utilize our lights. Well, these lights, this clip is designed to be able to be screwed up through these holes. It even has slots going this way and slots going that way for wire ties if you just want to wire tie it onto something, zip tie. So
we're going to go to the last thing that we have here, and then we'll get to questions. We thought it was really important. If you didn't notice, Tim loves tropical and semi-tropical species.
Yes.
So we really wanted to launch with a substrate for tropical and semi-tropical. I'm going to let Tim tell you about it. I mean, clearly Tim is the pro for this. I'm really proud of our substrate mix. So this is a substrate we're calling Leap Living Earth. It is an ABG analogous substrate. We don't support exact ABG mixes because they use two constituents that are non-sustainable. One is the peat itself, and two is the tree fern root, the shredded tree fern. Instead, we are using, first and foremost, we have milled sphagnum. We also have actual leaves. We have fir bark in appropriate size pieces. We have carbon. And then the soil constituent of our substrate is made from cocoa coir. All of it is in a ratio that we've tested. All the enclosures you saw in the reptile lab were all of our own. That's using all of our own lighting, all of our own bulbs, all of our own substrate, etc. And we are in process now of converting all of our enclosures over to LEAP habitats, and they will all be bioactive. In addition to that, not at time of launch, but soon, we will be offering bioactive starter cultures, which would include isopod springtails, a bacterial inoculation for healthy bacteria, as well as a fungal inoculation in the form of mycelium, which is really, really beneficial for jump starting. I know that, I don't know if it's on the board, but I did notice that one person had asked earlier, how quickly can you add animals to your enclosure after you set it up? And the reality is, so long as your plants are safe, so long as they're good, you can do it pretty quickly. So that's the products. Let's go to some questions. We're going to try and get to a bunch of them. We don't want to have this go on too long. We wanted to aim for right around an hour. So we'll get to some of the questions. If we don't answer any of the questions, we'll get to that. Okay. If we don't answer some of the questions, we will absolutely try and make another video here where we go through and answer the questions that we didn't answer. So
if there's a lot of them.
Yep. So let's start at the top. Sue Potter asks, how long should a habitat be up and running before the reptile goes into their home? Right, that's the one that I just touched on. So essentially we recommend that I wouldn't put an organism into the enclosure until you've inoculated your bioactive substrate setup. So I would say once you've done that within a week or so, I mean, quite truthfully, we have such living substrate already to add into our terrariums that we set up a terrarium and we add the animals immediately. Cool. Ruthless, and this is a common question that we've gotten, so we're just going to pick Ruthless here, is when can I place my order? How long do I have to wait for shipping? The answer to that is I don't know. So the past year has obviously been a great year in terms of developing all this, but it's also been a tough year. Yeah. So we are planning to have everything available for order in March, by March. So on the website, you will be, right now you can see what we have, but you can't buy it.
In the month of March, everything will be available for sale. Exactly what date? Hey, we'll let you know, and I'm
And
sure
we'll probably
it'll be
do another one of these.
Yeah, there's going to be a few live streams between now and then, as well as produced videos, etc., that we're going to be talking about that. But figure March is when you can buy Leap Habitats.
Lots and
products.
lots of questions about the interior colors.
Oh.
So the interior, the way it was designed right now, is so that when it's planted, and you probably saw it when we had the planted one on the table with us, is you want it to blend in. You want to focus on your animals, not necessarily on the background. Right. That being said, so the question is there an option for white walls to provide a lighter environment, or is there desert or whatever, or even clear?
White's very useful because it reflects the light back into the terrarium, and it allows for a better growing environment from your plants, and it's a nice look. I can sympathize with that interest.
So are we going to have it?
So the answer to that is, at the time of launch, the only background available will be the jungle background, which we really like because, as Jack mentioned, it's almost like a camouflage. Like when you put plants in it, you don't notice the background anymore. But in the future, we will be able to offer a desert background. We will be able to offer potentially white or black if they're very popular.
And
so now is the time to ask us.
I was going to say, now if you have background ideas, send them to us. It is definitely on the list to provide other background
We know
options.
we want to have, for the more desert-sized habitats that we'll be launching, we know we want to offer a desert background for those sizes.
Jessica Ward, how much UVB does the top screen block out?
So off the top of my head, I want to say that screen in general blocks 20 to 30% of UV output. Yep. That's a great question, and I think that's something that we should test on our own. Yep. So you saw in the walkthrough video, we have a lot of testing equipment. That includes photospectrometers, that includes excellent UV testing, PAR testing, etc. We can definitely get those numbers and represent them on our habitats page.
And not only that, with all of the testing that we do, we're going to show you, we're going to show you the spectrograph of what our lights put out. We're going to be we're going to tell you the PAR. We can't tell you that PAR is important and then not
tell you how
show
much.
you the PAR.
Right.
So for all of our stuff, something that I really care about, obviously in the brand side of things, is being that open and honest brand that doesn't just give you products. We want to show you how it's done. We're going to show you we've already done this to show you a lot of the thought that's gone into it, but we're also going to show you the data so that you can learn with us and know that the products you're getting are the best they can be. Let's see. Alex Mankey asked, and I'm sorry if I say your last name wrong, I don't see how plastic won't warp. I'm curious how they work in high humidity, and where does the water go for drainage?
I like that question. Hey, incredulousness is awesome, and I'm glad you asked it. So the material itself is made from a very, very water-resistant material, polypropylene. So if you check out material properties of plastics, you've got on one hand materials like acrylic, which you can't even have over a humid environment before they warp. And then in the middle you have materials like nylon that you wouldn't think of it as absorbing water, but it actually does, and its shape changes as a result of it.
But this doesn't.
On the bottom end of the scale, you've got polypropylene, Teflon, etc. And yeah, no, it doesn't absorb water. It's also
We've had these in a humid environment for...
Our Reptile Room gets a 90% humidity every night. And we've been using these for a long time. I mean, getting close to a year now.
Yeah, upward. I mean, even for the prototype ones,
yeah, well, prototype's
over
over a year, absolutely.
So, yes, it is just plastic, but trust me, this is, okay, to give you an idea, this is a very similar material to what they make like campaign signs at the side of the road out of.
Yep, exposed to rain,
which
UV,
are out in the rain, UV, everything.
Yeah.
We have seen no discoloration, we've seen no warping, we've seen nothing like that.
No,
so thank you for asking.
Yeah, good question.
Buddy Delatorre, will you guys be making an app?
Oh, Buddy.
Buddy. Hey, Buddy.
Jump in the gun
I say
here.
that because we know Buddy, and he's a good friend.
Yeah, the bottom line is it's a great question. I'm not going to answer it right now, but I will say that we do have phase 2 of the Leap product line already in mind. We have phase 2.1 and we have phase 3 already in mind. These are road-mapped product lines with engineering budget and already in development.
And you saw everything that we have in terms of that through the walkthrough video.
So,
put two and two together.
Yeah. We'll leave it at
put
that.
2 and 2 together. Keith Winkleman, do you guys anticipate an option to expand and connect multiple enclosures? You literally just brought something up that we were having a conversation on like 2 hours ago.
Yeah,
And
it's a
the answer
very
is-
common, very highly requested feature. As soon as people understand, they see the habitat, they understand the construction, it's the first question that pops into their mind, and it's a great question, and the answer is yes. I think that as a result of the feedback that we've gotten since we started showing people a solution that would allow you to start by buying one habitat and then later on cut out this portion of the habitat and join it to another habitat, it's a no-brainer. When? I couldn't tell you.
A lot of this stuff is stuff that we are absolutely thinking about and we are absolutely moving towards. And every time we get a question like this, it sticks in our brain and goes, and we go, yeah, it's something that we should do and it's something that we can and will do. So you kind of mentioned modifying there too. It's not a direct question up there, but this stuff, it's strong, right? Like I can bang on it and it holds up. But you can also cut it relatively easily
with a
an
razor
X-Acto
blade.
knife.
You're not, with a razor blade or an X-Acto knife, you're not going to be able to rip it. It's pretty rugged.
Which means if you, let's say you want to add stuff to your terrarium, you have a custom setup that you like to do, or you want to add some airflow, maybe add a fan on the side, it's literally as easy as taking an X-Acto and you can modify it to your liking. Aisha, what's the difference between a mister and a fogger, and when would a mister be more useful?
Okay, well, we touched upon that. So Aisha, if you haven't seen already, definitely check out the section of the video where we cover the 5 parameters. A mister is what we call parameter number 4, which is used for simulating rainfall. And a fogger is parameter number 5, which is used to maintain the ideal humidity level in the terrarium. We believe that they should be thought of as separate. It makes it easier to produce the ideal husbandry for your organism. There are examples of when you would use a mister or a fogger, and that would be if an organism is capable of drinking from a water bowl, but it does need high humidities. Perhaps in that case you don't need a mister, but a fogger is appropriate.
And I think our last question that we're going to do tonight, because we're starting to go decently long here.
Oh man, I didn't know that.
We kind of get on a tear, if you can't tell. And by the way, we will do that probably in every one of our live streams. But the question is, where are you shipping at launch, and how do your products ship, and where can I get them? It's kind of a 3-part question. We combine some questions here.
So where we are shipping at launch is the United States only. That is not the long-term plan, but that is the short-term plan. So you will be able to buy the products through our website, and we will ship to the US. Where we will ship after that, international distribution has always been a huge part of Ecotech Marine. We fully intend on launching in multiple different countries, and that is going to be reality within 2022.
In 2022, you should be able to get it just about anywhere that you are.
Now, how does this ship, Jack?
Oh, I'm glad you asked, Tim. God, that was cheesy. Here is a habitat.
And we're proud of this.
Completely flat packed. When you order from us, this is how you're going to get it. In a box, shipped directly to you. We're really proud of, we think it looks cool, which is great, but this isn't going to be some big glass terrarium that you have to deal with that,
that breaks in shipping.
Breaks in shipping. This is very well designed to keep everything safe. I know with the Ecotech brand, if you guys look at Ecotech's website, some of the stuff has some big dollar signs to it. And designing packaging for shipping has always been super important.
It's a huge priority of the Ecotech brand. It was a huge priority for the Leap brand that we would design our packaging to be able to withstand the test of shipping.
Absolutely. So with all of that, I know that there may be more questions coming up. If we didn't get to your question, I'm sorry, we'll read back through it. Please keep asking them on any of our social medias. I'm leap.jack, that's leap.tim. Our cameraman is leap.dave, he is fantastic.
All on Instagram. There's another one who you have to follow, which is our animal husbandry specialist, who deserves this last shout out because we couldn't do it without her, Kelsey Melnick. It's leap.kelsey. You can find her on Instagram. Her photos are spectacular, and they're all taken within our reptile room.
And so that's a great way to reach out on Instagram. Obviously the main Instagrams of Leap Habitats on Instagram. Our YouTube, which you're here now, so you know how to find us on YouTube. Like I said earlier, we have like 3 hours of content that launched at 7:30.
Yep, you can watch it right now.
So if you get bored, watch that, and we will be making more videos. So, not to sound like a YouTuber, but like and subscribe so you can check out more of our stuff. Obviously, Facebook's there too. And finally, if you want to send an email, you're an email person, info@leaphabitats.com. And obviously the website's up too. So while you're typing in leaphabitats.com, head over to the website and check that out. This was a lot of fun. That hour flew by way faster than I thought it would.
Way faster.
So I can't wait to see you guys all soon. Thank you for being here. Thank you so much. Thank you for all of your support. We truly can't do this without you. So thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.